The EU wants Britain to pay an even higher Brexit divorce bill to cover the spiralling costs of its extravagant bureaucrat pension scheme. Amid intense talks hoping to break the negotiating deadlock on the financial issue, documents revealed that the controversial sum is rocketing before the UK's split from the bloc. Brussels accounts show that the cost of the pension payments rose 5.4% to £58.9 billion in 2016 from £55.9 billion in 2015. EU officials have already told UK negotiators that the size of the payments to thousands of retired bureaucrats and MEPs is set to climb further to £66.5 billion by 2018. The UK will therefore be expected to pay between £8 billion and £10 billion to cover the cost of the gold-plated pensions that see the average EU official get £59,000 a year for decades. Michel Barnier, the EU's chief negotiator, opened the fourth round of talks earlier this week by telling the UK to cover its past commitments before talks on a post-Brexit transition period can start. Theresa May's Florence speech last week, in which she said the UK would pay £17.5 billion during the so-called implementation period, was welcomed as constructive by Brussels. But the EU is adamant that the UK must offer concrete guarantees on exactly what areas of the EU's budget it is willing to finance before talks on trade can progress. Figures contained in the EU's 2016 accounts released yesterday show that the total EU liabilities rose from £198 billion in 2015 to £206 billion on last year. The NUGAs will now be used as the basis for deciphering what share the UK is willing to pay during talks centering on the financial settlement this week. The increasing size of the liabilities, including pensions, that Britain will be asked to pay could prove politically challenging for the Prime Minister despite her vow to honour budget promises. At £59,000, the average Brussels pension payout is more than twice the UK average salary, while highest-ranking officials can draw a maximum of £166,000 a year. The average is almost 3 times the average income of £21,800 earned by a retired household in the UK at the end of 2016. The expanding cost of the EU pension scheme, which has doubled over the latest decade, is due to an increase in the number of officials retiring and a huge boost in employee numbers before 2010. The 22,000 retired EU officials currently benefiting from the scheme include around 1,730 Britons, with members of the House of Lords and former MEPs recipients. UK negotiators have previously refused to spell out what share the UK is willing to pay towards the scheme. Meanwhile, negotiations in Brussels this week have been shrouded in secrecy after officials on both sides agreed to a vow of silence. After meeting European Parliament President Antonio Tajani last night, Brexit Secretary David Davis is expected to give an update alongside Mr. Barnier today.